I demand refund. They promised that.
Everything they built will fall!
False advertisement. The X-Men are back with the quote-unquote end of Bryan Singer's first-class trilogy. Bear in mind this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't watched X-Men Apocalypse yet, watch the movie first. It deserves to be seen, not spoiled. Unless, you're into that. Alright, so in the newest installment of the franchise, the friendship of Eric and Xavier finally come to full circle. Throughout the film, you feel the connection between them and the conflicts always arising in Magneto's path. He sides with Apocalypse, and surprise surprise, Magneto becomes a villain again. But in the end, he is able to pull through for his best friend and turns against Apocalypse, ending on good terms with Charles. By the way, we gotta give credit when credit is due. Michael Fassbender killed it in the role this time around. That horror scene gave chills down my spine. Right when that dipshit let go of the arrow in slow motion, and you heard the tip whistle through the wind, my heart just sank. Fassbender really embodies the character well, and showed so much pain and suffering. Give the man an Oscar. Speaking of Professor X, James McAvoy goes bald in this film. It's interesting how they made it come out to be in the film. I thought they were just gonna come up with some stupid reason of having Xavier just shave off his hair for no relevant reason, but relating the hair loss to the conscience transfer of Apocalypse made the process seem more realistic. But now let's talk about what many have been complaining about for a while now, which is Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. Yes, Mystique still continues to play a much more leader type role than she does in the comics by like light years, but I didn't find her that big of a problem as other people did. In fact, I didn't see much of Mystique at all in this film. Now before you guys crucify me and call me blind, let me explain what I mean. This time around, Mystique is an idol to almost every mutant after the Washington DC incident. But throughout X-Men Apocalypse, we don't see her much in the blue skin. I'm guesstimating here, but it seems like she was in her blue skin for only about 15 minutes. Everything else was in her human form, where I only ever saw her as Jennifer Lawrence, not the character she was actually supposedly portraying. Guess that's what star power does to you. My favorite parts of this film were most definitely Nightcrawler and Quicksilver. Nightcrawler was, aside from being badass, surprisingly funny. I would like to go to the mall. What did I miss? That's my Nightcrawler impression. That was terrible. Kill yourself. His rivalry with Angel was cool, and the overall visual look from his makeup to his teleportation smug puff looked astonishing. My prediction in my trailer analysis was incorrect, however, as they never mentioned Mystique being the mother of Nightcrawler, but that didn't bother me. Quicksilver was just outright hilarious, though. The first half was really just a bunch of exposition and a montage of Apocalypse recruiting his 4 horsemen. I don't want to call it boring because it was sort of interesting, but the whole beginning felt like it dragged on. The slow-mo scene in this film beats anything in the X-Men franchise I have ever seen. Like seriously, props to Bryan Singer for giving what the audience wanted with more Quicksilver scenes. Right when the explosion occurred and the camera cut to a shot outside of Xavier's mansion of a bee slowing down, me and my brother just looked at each other and nodded. I can't stress how much I was dying of laughter at the moment. He came in eating a Twinkie and saved almost everyone in a very humorous, clever style. Each scene where he speeded up, I always had a grin on my face. There were 2 other memorable scenes with him, including when he ran Mystique up to Magneto for confrontation and uppercutting Apocalypse. When he ran up Mystique to Magneto, I swear that CGI Jennifer Lawrence was so funny looking because of the slowed down time effect added with the ragdoll effect. And the punching Apocalypse scene, I wanted to laugh, but I knew he was about to get his ass kicked by Apocalypse. I almost cried when he got his leg broken by him, seriously. Alright, enough fanboying about Quicksilver. Time to talk about the most famous cameo. Stan Lee. Just kidding, Wolverine. I mean, no disrespect to Stan because he my man, but we are here to talk about the X-Men. Wolverine was in the movie as much as I imagined he would be in. 10 minutes. He has no speaking roles, and the scene is basically a simple and quick reboot of X-Men Origins Wolverine on how the man got his adamantium claws. Don't get me wrong, I still love the cameo because Hugh Jackman is great. Now time for some of the confusing / negative parts. Apocalypse was very similar to Ultron. They both found humans as a problem of everything and took on a biblical role. Ultron constantly quoted from the Bible, whereas Apocalypse literally referred to himself as God. As stated earlier, this guy didn't deliver with his line,
Everything they built will fall!
Also, Apocalypse seemed to pose more of a threat to mutants more than humans. Even though he said he wants to get rid of humans, he only ends up hurting mutants, contradicting his own statement. Sure, he did that whole thing with the nukes, but did he really hurt them physically? Probably, but not more than he did to mutants. Action speaks louder than words. Jubilee didn't have much to do in this film. She had about like 1 or 2 lines, showing up only in the beginning and the ending of the film. I kinda wanted to see more of her. The 4 horsemen were more like the 2 horsemen with 2 other wooden characters. Magneto and Storm were the more developed characters with well-written backstories, whereas Angel and Psylocke really had no motive. I mean, Psylocke's motive becomes more evident at the end of the film, but she really seemed like a one-dimensional character, just wanting power over those who supposedly had power over her already. Angel, on the other hand, is just there to fill in the slot and then dies in a plane crash. I'm not saying it was a waste, but what a waste of a character. There is a post-credit scene, one that I didn't get, so I had to look up. And after doing so, the film teases that the next villain will be Mr. Sinister. The guy who showed up in front of the camera on screen might be him, maybe not. I really don't know, I literally just searched him up a second ago. And to talk about my predictions for my top 5 most likely to die in X-Men Apocalypse video, I almost got it right. Alex Summers, aka Havoc, dies from the explosion. I guess Quicksilver isn't that fast, which is cool to know he's not too OP, since he couldn't stop time, but he's still pretty OP. All in all, X-Men Apocalypse was a good film, but isn't as good as its predecessor. That doesn't mean it sucks, cause those are pretty big shoes to fill in, They nailed it on the character development, especially Quicksilver, Nightcrawler, and Magneto. Other newcomers I haven't mentioned yet, like the actor and actress who played Cyclops and Jean respectively, were great, and most of the VFX were top-notch. But some of Apocalypse's choices are questionable when he has trouble fighting the mutants, as you are shown that he can make people easily sink to the ground. I'm gonna give X-Men Apocalypse an 89%. Rotten Tomatoes is weird right now, like around 50% now. Really, guys? Anyways, guys, if you like this video, then hit that subscribe button, and check out my other movie reviews. Also, be sure to look up my other content, which ranges from trailer analyses to a versus series.